Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry. A sentence the algorithms really love. The numbers are up. It's incredible. All you have to do is say that sentence, I guess. Today is a mix of happy and sad, politics and goofy. We'll get to it all today. We'll start with the sad. Conan O'Brien opened up to the New Yorker Radio Hour about the murders of Rob and Michelle Reiner. You may recall the Reiners were at Conan's party earlier on that day. Conan said to have that experience of saying goodnight to somebody and having them leave and then find out the next day they're gone, I think I was in shock for quite a while. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's so awful. I think about how Rob felt about the things that are happening in this country, how involved he was, how much he put himself out there, and have that voice go quiet in an instant is still hard for me to comprehend. Meanwhile, Nick Reiner pleaded not guilty on Monday. Nick Reiner appeared in L.A. Superior Court, spoke once, and agreed to a future court date of April 29th. Nick Reiner is facing 2 counts of murder with an enhancement that could carry the death penalty or life without parole if convicted. No mention was made of Reiner's mental state during the hearing. Reiner is being held without bail at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in downtown L.A. Meanwhile, Conan spoke about what's going on with Stephen Colbert. Quoting Conan, yeah, he's pissed, I think rightly, but he's got a big staff and cares about those people. I've been in that situation, and that is excruciating. And so I think he has all the appropriate feelings. What I try to tell him is there's so much of this that doesn't have anything to do with you. Those giant glacial plates are moving, and you're doing the best you can, and you're such a talented guy, and he's done an amazing job, and yeah, there's definitely a thumb on the scale. We all saw that with Jimmy Kimmel, with the FCC. That was just outrageous and wrong. But the larger picture, when you look worldwide and see voices being silenced, they really get silenced. I don't think that's going to happen with Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert or anyone who's doing a late-night show. Conan pointed out about life on the other side. There's a lot of really beautiful opportunities, and I've been having a blast and getting to have these types of interviews I never could have had in that old You're Up in the Attic format. Speaking of Colbert, he'll be live after tonight's State of the Union broadcast. This is a late show tradition, and apparently will be the last one unless somebody uncancels the show. Tonight should be particularly interesting. If you're not in the mood for the State of the Union, you can watch the Knicks like I'll be doing, or you can watch Taylor Tomlinson's new stand-up special, which I'm also going to watch, but not while the Knicks are on. You know what I'm saying? And I will also check out the State of the Union. I'll probably be doing the side-by-side on the big TV tonight. Anyway, Taylor Tomlinson, she's on Netflix. It is her 4th comedy special, this one called Prodigal Daughter, filmed at the Fountain Street Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We are told Taylor tackles topics ranging from coming out as bisexual in her 30s to why Easter is better than Christmas. Netflix says Taylor Thompson returns to her roots with a tight new hour about deconstructing your faith, processing religious trauma, exploring your sexuality, and confronting your fear of death. Also out, Pete Holmes' new special, Silly, Silly Fun Boy. Now that's a great title. That'll premiere on the 800-Pound Gorilla's YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. We got a lot to watch. We got the Knicks, State of the Union, Taylor, Pete Holmes. I still haven't watched Cat Williams because the Olympics has been on for 2 weeks. Pete's always good. Definitely check this one out. In Silly, Silly Fun Boy, Pete Holmes delivers fresh takes on parenting, marriage, and more. Pete Holmes tells Deadline, I'm very proud of Silly, Silly Fun Boy, an hour of pure silliness and fun and boyness. It's my favorite special to date. I love the way it looks, the amazing Portland crowd, but most of all, I love these jokes and hope people will too. Also out today on the 800-Pound Gorilla, Matt Rife and Paul Elia's low-key comedy special. Brian Posehn caught up with Northern Public Radio and said, I was always an alternative comic before they had a name for that. I just don't feel connected to the mainstream, and I never did. Brian thinks the current climate of comedy is a little different than it was a few years ago. Brian says it's a little bit of Revenge of the Jocks, if you want to look at it that way. It's kind of a win for the good-looking tough guy. Jim Jefferies told Life Without Andy, I've always seen myself as a right-wing Australian and a left-wing American, and I've read this. This makes a lot of sense. He says, I believe in fairly tight borders and things like that, but I also believe in a woman's right to do what she wants with her body. I believe in national health care. I believe in social services and all type of stuff, and I'm an anti-gun guy. But those beliefs make me the biggest hippie on earth in America. I'm a left-wing extremist in America, and then in Australia, people are like, I'm all right. Jim says, I don't think religion should be in our politics. They think religion should be in our politics. God bless America. All this type of BS, says Jim Jefferies. 80% of us are moderates. 80% of us are sitting in the middle, and we're the most silent. And then we've got the 10% extreme left and the 10% extreme right. Jim, do you miss doing the Jim Jefferies show? Jim Jefferies said, I'm very happy that I don't do that show anymore because I wouldn't want to be hosting a show right now and having to talk about people from ICE shooting people in the streets. I don't want to dissect the bloody Epstein files. I don't want to talk about every week something stupid that Trump said. I'm glad I don't have that show in 2026. I had a great time doing the show. I made a lot of friends and that type of stuff. But if I had to do another comedy program, I want to do a sitcom is all I want. I want to do a multicam sitcom. I want to do Friends. Imagine that with Jim Jefferies. Comedians are meant to perform in front of audiences, and that's when we're at our best. Give me an audience and give me a script, and off we go. Jenny Zigrino is raising funds for her new comedy special, Afterbirth, which explores themes of transformation and draws from personal experiences like her sister's death and a breakup. She caught up with the Minnesota Post and asked, how do I break the algorithm to go viral to make money? I think comedy is suffering hugely on that because it used to be that these jobs paid us enough that we could focus on our craft. She explains, I was in movies, I was in television, I was fully repped by agents and managers, and I felt like the world was my oyster, and then COVID happened, and slowly everything fell apart. We learn her first special for Comedy Central, produced in 2017, earned her $20,000. She says, it felt really cool. That money gave me 2 to 3 months of time. By 2021, she had to raise money herself to make a special, tapping her fans through GoFundMe. That special, Gen Z, was picked up by Comedy Central and released in 2023 on YouTube and Facebook. On Facebook, she has a business page for videos that go viral or photos that get a lot of shares. Facebook pays her. She says it's not uncommon for some comedians to make $2,000 to $3,000 a month that way. But you got to feed the beast. Jenny says, I want to make great work, and great work doesn't happen in 1 week. As for Afterbirth, I have to hope someone buys it. And if they don't buy it, I have to put it on YouTube, and then I have to pump my own marketing into that because Netflix won't even look at you unless you have 500,000 or more followers. It's a cutthroat system that discounts comedians who might have families and kids and can't dedicate all this time to social media. Now, this next one, I can hear in my own voice that my voice is thin, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to channel my best inner Jim Breuer today. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get gravelly enough. But apparently, Jim is mad at American Airlines. He's even put out a video with the cringe title, Never Flying American Airlines Again. Jim Breuer reacts. Oh, Jim. All right, let's do the story straight first. Comedian Jim Breuer has publicly criticized American Airlines after Jim Breuer says he was removed from his paid first-class seat to accommodate a commuting pilot. The incident occurred on a recent flight from Honolulu to Phoenix. Now, I've gone ahead and pulled some of the clip, and I'll play some of the clip for you. But for some reason, and maybe I'm delusional, I prefer my inner Jim's version of this to what we actually got out of real Jim. I'm flying back from Honolulu, right? And they say to me, hey, we need your seat. What do you mean you need my seat? We got a pilot, and the pilot needs to sit down. Jim was flying from Honolulu to Phoenix. Jim claims he purchased a first-class ticket but was reassigned to an economy seat shortly before departure. Economy. The comedian described the experience as unfair and labeled the move theft. Aviation blog View from the Wing published additional details about the incident. Apparently, the airline needed to reposition a pilot for operational reasons. Breuer says airline staff informed him that a pilot required the seat and Jim would be moved to row 18 in the main cabin. Breuer said he was not given an equivalent first-class alternative and felt blindsided by the decision. We learned the Honolulu to Phoenix route is typically flown by an A321, where first class is arranged 2-2 across and economy is 3-3. On a narrow-body aircraft, the difference is not subtle. So far, I don't think Jim is wrong here. Breuer said he was offered a next-day option, but only an extra legroom economy and not seated together with his family, so there's no real recovery path back to any sense of comfort, let alone first class. At the time Jim's video was recorded, Jim had received a $400 refund and a $500 voucher. Let's check in with Jim.
I know for a fact, F-A-C-T, I am personal friends with an American airline captain. There's pilots and then there's captains. Captain's a different level even though they're a pilot. I'm also a good friend with 2 flight attendants who tell me the way it works is they're never, when they show up, they're not guaranteed to be on a flight, period. If they got to go on a different flight, they're not, even in uniform, they're not guaranteed.
We learned that Jim Breuer, before boarding, was told, fill out a complaint form, which I did. And I got an email several days later. I asked, hey, can I speak to somebody from American Airlines? But that request has gone unanswered according to this report. I'll keep you posted on what develops there. My voice is giving out. In case you missed it, late yesterday, I dropped a surprise bonus episode with Mike Chisholm from the Letterman podcast. Now, the reason I dropped it immediately rather than holding on to it is a couple of reasons. One, we talked about the blizzard that hit the Northeast. Two, we talked about the hockey game. And three, I didn't want to wait till the weekend because by then, Mike's encounter with David Letterman would have been about 2 weeks old. So I just wanted to get it out. So I did like 80 minutes or so with Mike earlier today. So that's, I'm sure, why my voice is shot. Plus doing Breuer never really helps. So you'll find that in the feed. Comedy Survivor, really interesting last week. So we had to not count something that may or may not have been a vote. It was unclear if it was a vote or not. And the AI ruled that it was not a vote. So a mini controversy on Comedy Survivor. But Jim Gaffigan went home, which is really, really stunning. So you want to get in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. You'll find a picture of me extinguishing the torch of Jim Gaffigan. And you can vote for who is left on Comedy Survivor. I should actually tell you who they are. Still in the game, Nikki Glazer, Kevin Hart, John Mulaney, Atsuko Akatsuka, Sebastian Maniscalco quietly going along in this game. Star Trek ruiner Tig Notaro, Sarah Silverman, Leslie Jones, and Bert Kreischer. A couple early votes here. So far, there's a vote for Sarah, Atsuko, Nikki, and Kevin. So jump on the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. And again, please be clear who you're voting off, not just be like, I'm thinking about maybe. No, just right, I'm voting off so-and-so. We don't need any controversies in just a goofy bit that was designed to get us through the winter when comedy news is a little slower. A Comedy Survivor Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Here, let me do this one since my voice is a little shot. I got an email from one of the listeners. Now, I don't use anybody's name just, because it's an email, unless you tell me you want to be shouted out. But this person knows who they are, and they say they believe that my speaking voice sounds like Maynard J. Keenan from the band Tool. Interesting. Now, the email was titled Today's Comedy Survivor. So on Comedy Survivor, I use a different speech pattern because there I go into the very deadpan and I'm making up these votes. Fred has voted for Joe Coy. Tim has voted for Jay Leno, and I'll get very deliberate like that. So I don't know if he means that or if this normal sing-song delivery that I use on the podcast. This is not my normal speaking voice either. This is just a little bouncier than the way I would speak in real life because I'm reading you scripts, and I'm trying to word paint a little bit. None of it is fake. It's all just different shades of my speaking voice. Plus, I have a little processing here on the podcast. I add a little deeper end to my nasally voice, and I get rid of a little of the high end. So even the podcast mix is a little different than if you met me in real life. Anyway, I pulled some audio of Maynard J. Keenan from the band Tool, and let's listen to Mr. Keenan speak, and I'll let you guys decide. Does he sound like me?
And now you get this room, and those effects are coming back through the mic, and you're driving all the stuff, and you're hearing the effect is now being applied to the snare drum,
right,
or the bass next to you, or the cymbals, nemesis cymbals. Right. As a singer, you hate the cymbals,
of course.
But what we've done is because we're on the grid, we can then take effects that would be on the vocal, open mic effects, and that's actually on the tracks.
And we'll do one more here, and we'll go home. Well, I'm already home. I record in the basement. You know what I mean. Joel McHale and Dennis Leary were doing some press together to promote their sitcoms on Fox. Animal Kingdom is now also airing on Netflix, so people are watching that. They did press together and spoke to the Wrap. Dennis Leary said, "My dream is to literally do a musical one day." Is that because Bill Hicks did a musical? Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. No, he didn't mention Bill Hicks there. Sorry. Why would Dennis Leary mention Bill Hicks? My dream is literally to do a musical one day. He said his first experience with show business happened in high school when a nun stuck me in musicals and I hated it. I really don't like most musicals. But he adds, my two favorite musicals are the anti-musical Spamalot, which is a brilliant show, and Book of Mormon, both fantastic shows. I saw both on Broadway. Dennis Leary thinks he would be a good Sir Lancelot, a role once played by Hank Azaria. Leary then mentioned how Going Dutch and Animal Control, which is Joel McHale's show, are both on Hulu, but only Animal Control is on Netflix. Joel McHale explained, they were like, we're putting yours on Netflix and not Dennis. Joel says, I went, why? And they were like, just to tick him off. It was a weird move. And that is your comedy news for today. Go vote on Comedy Survivor. And if you missed the late yesterday episode with Mike, check that one out. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.